Today, I want to talk about this ongoing problem with US-based social media companies. And of course, I'm talking about Facebook, Twitter, Google, and its services like YouTube. The problem with having so much control over social media worldwide and the share of information and the hosting of videos, all of this being concentrated in the hands of a handful of US-based tech companies, this is very dangerous. And it's not that there's a potential for abuse, there is demonstrated abuse going on. Now, this is an article from RT. It's titled, Erdogan's press office ditches WhatsApp as Ankara urges Turks to use domestic apps in fight against digital fascism. Which it's very interesting that even Turkey is calling what Silicon Valley is doing digital fascism. And of course, it goes much further beyond Silicon Valley, because as we know, Twitter and Facebook and Google, these companies have all worked hand in hand with the US State Department and, on behalf of much larger corporate financier interests. They've been involved in regime change all around the world and political interference all around the world. They were involved as far back as 2011 in the Arab Spring, which of course, yes, Turkey played a direct role in that, hand in hand with the US government. But of course, what's good for, Libya and Syria and Iraq and Iran and Yemen is also good for Turkey in the eyes of the US government. When Turkey doesn't want to play ball, the US uses its ability to manipulate and pressure the Turkish government through its domination of Turkish information space, because people in Turkey use Facebook and Twitter and Google and YouTube. And so what it looks like is that Turkey developed its own alternatives. And this is a story about WhatsApp and Facebook. They changed their privacy policy. They're, becoming very invasive regarding personal data, your personal data. And so that's what Turkey did. They said the government is going to stop using WhatsApp, and it's probably going to spread out wider to other platforms. And they're going to move over to a domestic alternative. It's this BIP, and this was created by the Turkish firm Turkcell. And it's not just the Turkish government, but there's big Turkish companies who are also making a similar move. And I think it serves as a good example of what other countries could think of doing to deal with this problem. And I think every country right now, every government around the world that faces US pressure or even faces US-backed mobs in their streets, like Thailand, for example, I think they are starting to realize the danger of US-based social media platforms and the need to do something very similar to what Turkey is doing. And you notice that Turkey is not really banning or kicking out Facebook or Twitter. They're just making their own local alternative. And at certain junctures, when there's some controversy, they use it as an opportunity to promote the local alternative and to have large accounts delete their accounts on Facebook-owned platforms like WhatsApp and to move over to the Turkish alternative. So basically what you're doing is you're not banning it. You're just making it unpopular. If people in Turkey want to know what's going on in Turkey, if they want to follow the Turkish government or large Turkish companies, or maybe even Turkish entertainment, if they decide to make the move to local alternatives, the people themselves are going to have to go to those local alternatives. As a matter of fact, Russia used a very similar strategy. Rather than ban Facebook outright, what they did was they made their own version, VK, and just everyone in Russia who's popular, who people want to follow, just switched over to VK. And so did all the Russian people. So people might still be using Facebook in Russia, but most people are using VK. And it looks like Turkey is using a very similar strategy now. And like I said, even though Turkey is a country, if you look at them economically, they are a country that's almost directly divided in half between East and West. And when you are economically divided like that, you are politically divided like that. Your foreign policy is going to be divided like that. That's why one year Turkey is shooting down Russian jets, and then another year they're buying Russian anti-air defense systems. It seems crazy, but that's because Turkey is balancing right on the edge between Western unipolarism and the rest of the world and multipolarism. This is definitely a step in the right direction for Turkey, and it's a good example for other countries around the world to start following. And again, I'm talking about Thailand, which needs to start developing their own domestic alternatives to these social media giants based in the US. We can see how dangerous allowing your information space to be dominated by foreign companies, especially foreign companies that are directly involved in political interference. Like I said, Twitter, Facebook, Google, these are not benign companies or even just greedy companies just trying to make a profit. They are also involved in very specific and deliberate acts of political interference inside Thailand and inside the political affairs of countries all around the world. So understanding this threat and starting to develop a strategy to do something about it is very important. Turkey is providing one example. Russia and China have provided examples. Even countries like Vietnam are developing their own social media alternatives. So I think it's time for countries like Thailand and many other countries around the world to start thinking of this possible solution as well. So I think I'm going to leave it there for now. To my Patreon patrons who make these videos possible, thank you very much. If you're watching this when I post it publicly, please like and share the video if you thought it was useful. Please also subscribe to my channel. It's totally free to do and it helps the channel grow, and I greatly appreciate that. And to everyone everywhere who is helping in absolutely every way, I really appreciate that as well. And as always, thank you for watching.